What's up, everybody? It is Sound Kage. I hope everybody is having a wonderful, happy holidays. And of course, from the title alone, you guys already know what this video is about. I am going to be deep diving into the Rinnegan. In my last video, which, gotta plug it in, was a ranking of the Akatsuki, so if you haven't watched it, I do encourage you to go back and watch it before this video. I didn't really go over pain too much because if I went into all the paths, it would have made the video like 8 minutes longer. So in this video, we are going to be going over all the abilities of the Paths of Pain and also a couple of other Rinnegan abilities here and there that we see from other people. Before we go into the abilities of each path, however, there is something to go over. And that essentially is, what are the Paths of Pain? Basically, without going too much into detail, somebody who possesses the Rinnegan is able to take dead bodies and make them into vessels for a specific Rinnegan ability. Now, there is no way of us knowing if this is a minimum or maximum number, but seeing how that's how many that Obito had whenever he did the same thing, I would imagine that that's the solid number on it. Now, don't get me wrong, somebody that has all the abilities of the Rinnegan to oneself is definitely a way stronger force to be reckoned with. However, the benefit of doing this with the Rinnegan makes it to where all of these people have a shared line of sight, what makes it very hard to surprise attack or even hit them in general. That is pretty much the basics of it. Let's go into the paths. Pulling no punches, we're definitely going to go over the strongest one first, which is going to be the Diva Path. The Diva Path has the ability to manipulate gravity in 3 different ways. The first one is going to be the Universal Pull Technique, or for all the manga readers is called Bansho Tenin. The way this jutsu works is pretty much the Diva Path becomes a center of gravity, and whatever he wants to be pulled towards him is pulled towards his general direction. Think of it sort of like the Diva Path becoming a miniature black hole to whatever he wants. The second ability pertaining to the Diva Path is going to be Almighty Push or Shinra Tensei. Almighty Push essentially is the complete opposite of Universal Pull. He is essentially making a gravitational field and pushing everything away from him with a very strong force. Now, there are 2 versions of this jutsu, a smaller version which you can see on the image shown, and then a much stronger version in which Pain used to destroy the entire Leaf Village. And the last ability of the Diva Path is going to be Planetary Devastation, or in the manga it is called Shubaku Tensei. With this jutsu, a Rinnegan user essentially creates a little sphere about the size of their hand, and this sphere has its own gravity pertaining to itself, condensing the surrounding land and even people into a giant sphere around the little ball. This is even how the Sage of Six Paths created. The next Path of Pain, which is by far the most terrifying, is called the Osha Path. And I don't think there's any great need for detail whenever I can just say it's a cyborg. It has 3 heads sharing 6 eyes of shared vision, 6 arms because the multiple faces weren't scary enough, and as for its arsenal, it has a multitude of blades, a plethora of missiles that it can just shoot out of its arms because that makes sense in a ninja world. And what else? Oh yeah, laser beams. Yes, you heard me right. It has
frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
So yeah, very scary. Definitely not the most powerful Path of Pain, but definitely the last one I would ever want to run into. The third Path of Pain that we are going to be going over is the Animal Path. Funny enough, the only English word out of the 6, so good luck remembering the rest. The Animal Path is actually very unique because it's the only Path of Pain where we see 2 hosts being used for it. The first one that you're seeing on screen is the one from the Jiraiya fight. Jiraiya actually managed to kill this Path of Pain and keep it locked in a toad where it was then taken to the Leaf Village so the Leaf could study it. That Path of Pain would end up being replaced with this beauty. And as we saw on the show, switching the host of said power doesn't really seem to have any drawbacks or any complications. As for the power, the Animal Path is very self-explanatory. It basically has the ability to summon a plethora of giant animals. This would include, but definitely not limited to, a Cerberus type of dog that when injured it splits into multiple dogs, a giant bird with a drilled beak, a chameleon that has the ability to go invisible and also turn the Rinnegan user on top of it invisible, a giant-ass panda.
He's a panda. You're a panda.
Do not let that shit fool you, however. This thing is a giant-ass meat shield, and I think it was a waste of potential that it was only used in the fight against Jiraiya. There is also a multitude of a couple of other ones here and there that I'm missing, but primarily those ones are just used for brute force. The Animal Path also has the ability to summon the other paths of Pain to their location, which was a very smart and tactical way that Pain was able to confuse the Leaf Village a little bit. This by far, however, is one of my favorite manga panels throughout the whole entire manga. It basically explains that Kisame and Itachi were able to get into the village undetected in the first part of Naruto because Itachi was a former Konoha ninja, therefore he knew the jutsu code. Can somebody please explain to me why they never changed it? I'm going off topic, but just imagine. You have a boyfriend, said boyfriend kills a large majority of your family, and you know he has a key to get back into your house, and you don't change the freaking lock. Yet again, more proof that the third Hokage was the worst Hokage ever. The fourth path of pain, and probably my favorite in terms of ability, is going to be the Predapath. The Predapath, simply put, has the ability to absorb jutsu and chakra as a whole. So basically, if you try to attack Pain or any other Rinnegan user with any type of ninjutsu, they can essentially put up a barrier in front of them that will completely dissolve it. Now, nowhere does it specify that there is a limited amount of chakra that the Predapath can absorb. However, it does need to be able to control the type of chakra that is absorbed, seeing how the Predapath tried to absorb Naruto's nature energy and turned it into a petrified frog. To be honest, how petrified frog Pain never became a meme is a mystery to this day. For the fifth path of pain, this one's really easy and simple to go over. This one is called the human path. The human path essentially has the ability to suck the soul out of the opponent.
What did he say?
It is very important to note that this isn't just a one-off, one-hit KO. Seen with Edo Nagato and KCM Naruto, there was some sort of tug-of-war going on similar to the Reaper Death Seal Jutsu, but it's not really specifically explained if it will inevitably be pulled out, or if the user can just pull their soul completely back into their body by themselves. The last path of pain, the sixth, is going to be the Narcopath. Now, this one is extremely unique and honestly overly complicated for what it is. It essentially has two abilities, and both are related to the King of Hell, which is the thing you can see on screen that the Narcopath is able to summon. The first ability is the Narcopath will ask somebody a question while the King of Hell is holding their tongue. If they refuse to answer the question, or if they answer the question untruthfully, the King of Hell will rip their tongue out, killing them instantly. Like I said, weird and by far overcomplicated. The other ability pertaining to the King of Hell summon is that a Path of Pain or somebody with the Rinnegan can be put in this thing and come out perfectly healed without any injury whatsoever. With that being said, let me ask the question that nobody seems to be asking. Why on earth did Sasuke never use this to get his arm back?
No, he's got a point.
Now, that pretty much does it for all the 6 paths of pain. Well, sort of. All the paths of pain are controlled by Nagato, who is called the Outer Path. From what we see in the show, every Rinnegan user is able to make these black chakra receiver rods, which are primarily used by other people with the Rinnegan to disrupt people's chakra network. However, Nagato uses them to control the paths of pain by putting these chakra receivers in their body as piercings. Outside of that, the Outer Path also has 2 other abilities. The first ability is being able to summon the Gedomaza, which is essentially the husk of the Ten Tails. And the second ability pertaining to the Outer Path would be the Rinne Rebirth Jutsu. This jutsu essentially summons the King of Hell to bring back dead people. It also seems to be in direct relation to how powerful you are, determining how many people you can bring back from the dead. Seeing how Nagato was able to revive the whole entire Leaf Village, whereas when Obito was going to use it before Black Zetsu put a stop to it, he seemed to have the notation that he was going to revive everyone that died in the war. It seems like a very powerful jutsu, however, there is an equally as powerful drawback from using it. You die.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait.
Now, that pretty much sums up everything about the normal abilities pertaining to the Rinnegan. However, there are 3 abilities used by 3 other people that had it that are not used by other characters in the show.
The first one we're going to talk about is by Momoshiki. The Rinnegan ability that Momoshiki possesses is that he can absorb ninjutsu. He is then able to output the chakra from said ninjutsu in his own destructive way. And to be honest, this one's not all that cool because it really just sounds like an advanced version of the Predapath. Next up, we have Madara's ability to use limbo clones. This is one of those things where people think it's a lot harder to explain than it actually is. They're essentially just ghost clones. And I know that sounds stupid, but that's really the easiest way to describe what they are. Nobody can see them. They're on like their own astral plane, and they can physically interact with people that they are fighting. This is by far one of my least favorite things that Kishimoto ever came up with. And lastly, we have the abilities pertaining to Sasuke's Tomoe Rinnegan. There are actually two abilities belonging to it. The first one is the ability to travel across dimensions by opening up wormholes. It's almost like an advanced version of Kamui, except for you don't have the ability to phase part of your body in and out of that dimension. And the second ability, Aminotejikara.
Today, Junior?
Yeah, I'm not gonna even pretend like I know how to pronounce that word. We're just gonna call it Amino for short. Basically, Sasuke has the ability to switch places with anything in his eyesight, whether that be an object or even a person. This is actually best shown in the fight against Fuse Momoshiki. I think they did a very well of explaining and showing how this jutsu works. And I think that just covers about everything. If you guys made it this far in the video, I really do appreciate your continued support. I really ask that if you're not doing so, please subscribe, and I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.